All right, it's in between.
Okay.
I'm cranking it up right away simply because Richard is on his time schedule. And as it stands right now, we're going to have your little ass out of here as fast as we can.
And I'm going to get to have I'll do my normal numbers for the pull. I still have time for all that, which is great.
All right, so Sean when I walked in right away, he began speaking with his wife JJ about some story that you told her.
All right, no,
and you've been waiting to tell us something.
It's not one I told her. I asked Chat GPT to write us a story. So here's the prompt, and then I'm going to read you the story. So here we go, story time. So the prompt was, write a story where Batman is fighting the Joker in the universe of the Planet of the Apes. Include Sean, Todd, and Richard, the hosts of the podcast The Man of the Apes. Someone shouts, it's a madhouse. There's an ape agape. Maybe poop is thrown. Have a character introduce something with, on today's Men of the Apes. Mark Wahlberg should cameo. He should probably get hit by the poop. That's for the shitty remake. Make references to Zeus Comics in Dallas, the Dive Bar Boombox, CrossFit, and Babylon 5. That is a prompt. Here is a story that I got.
Wow, you got very exact with that prompt. I like it. I like it.
I wanted to put elements of the show and stuff we always talk about.
Okay, go.
Here we go. It was a dark and dreary day in the universe of the Planet of the Apes. Batman had found himself in this strange world, facing off against his arch nemesis, the Joker. As the two clashed, the citizens of this world looked on in terror, unsure of what would happen next. Sean, Todd, and Richard, the hosts of the podcast The Man of the Apes, were on the scene, providing live commentary on the epic battle. It's a madhouse, Sean shouted into his microphone. There's an ape agape, Todd chimed in. Maybe poop is thrown. Richard, trying to stay professional, interjected. On today's Men of the Apes, we witnessed the fight of the century. But their broadcast was interrupted by the sudden arrival of Mark Wahlberg, who stumbled into the scene. What's going on here? He asked, bewildered. Before anyone could answer, a pile of ape feces landed on Mark's head, much to the amusement of the crowd. That's for the shitty remakes, somebody shouted from the crowd. Meanwhile, Batman and the Joker were still locked in combat. The Joker had somehow gotten his hands on a CrossFit weight, which he swung wildly at the Cape Crusader, but Batman was ready, dodging each blow with ease. As the battle raged on, someone spotted a sign for Zeus Comics in Dallas in the background of the fight. Hey, look, they exclaimed. That's where I get my favorite Batman comic. At that moment, a nearby establishment called the Dive Bar Boombox started blaring the theme song from Babylon 5, causing some confusion among the onlookers. But Batman remained focused, using his wits and training to gain the upper hand against his foe. Finally, with one swift punch, he knocked the Joker unconscious, bringing an end to the chaos. The citizens of the Planet of the Apes cheered as Batman stood victorious, and as the host of the Men of the Apes signed off, they couldn't help but reflect on the strange and unexpected events they had just witnessed. I don't know what about you guys, Richard said, but I never expected to see Batman and the Joker fighting apes in my lifetime.
Wow.
Damn.
That's pretty amazing.
JJ laughed when they read, that's for the shitty remake.
Wow.
That's pretty fun.
Is, yeah.
I like that.
Story time. There you go.
Story time. We can have story time from time to time on In Between. Why not include those when need be? But you did pretty much touch on every facet of
with
the CrossFit weight was like suddenly popped up in there. Like, what?
Dive Bar Boombox.
Playing the Babylon 5 theme, which now I'm like, shit.
There you go.
I know Stuart Copeland wrote the first year. Did he write the theme? It surely didn't, because he didn't continue on.
No, he did it for the original pilot stuff and then not afterwards.
He is such a weird composer to begin with that I find that a weird show. That's the reason I watched the first few episodes initially, is because I wanted to hear his work. He does not fit the grand nature of Babylon 5 in my. But now I'm going to have to Dive Bar Boombox it and try and see if we can learn that damn theme song. It can't be that.
Well, they do a different one for every season.
Oh, do they really?
Yes.
Okay. All right. So that aside, let's also shift gears back to that Sean referenced when we were kind of in a down moment. The Oscar-nominated film Triangle of Sadness.
Triangle of Sadness.
That's nominated for both Best Picture and Best Director.
That's a very strange one for Best Picture. It's
a terrible one for Best Director because the tone of that thing is all over the place. So it's basically a film that's a commentary on society, the people, the haves and the have-nots.
And there are people that want to compare it to The Menu, which have you seen that yet?
No, I still haven't gotten to.
It is not. I would not put them as. Only in the fact that you would say have and have nots, but besides that, I would not put them as.
I'm
similar
always
movies.
compelled to watch a story that talks about the have and have nots. That's again the word compelling. It's a compelling idea to explore. That film is so, in my opinion,
It's almost comedic,
but it doesn't set its tone at the very first as being comedic, because for the first 15, 20 minutes we follow an influencer and her model boyfriend as they have a fight over paying for
a bill and who should be responsible and gender roles and all that kind of
and
stuff.
that's where we are. And then all of a sudden
I see the comparison to the menu, because the menu kind of starts off like that as well a little bit.
A little bit.
But then it shifts out of the blue, and they're suddenly on a luxury liner, and we never get an explanation of how or why they're really there. And
well,
that
you do get one line about
barely,
Yeah.
And it's just all of a sudden we're there, and then the comedic tone begins to slightly step in.
Woody Harrelson character starts to appear.
But the Woody Harrelson character we don't actually see until 30 minutes later. And that's kind of a fun thing. You know who it is. You hear the voice. You can tell who it is behind a door. But this whole thing shifts all over the place. All of this leading to, and I knew when you brought up that, I've known you far too long to know what it did to you. There's a point when the toilets back up and people get sick everywhere.
So Doug
on that boat. Yeah.
Doug, there's a comedian we both like Doug Benson, who in his podcast he always has a little segment called "Not for Hermetophobes," where he will say if there is vomiting in a movie, this is not for people. Hermetophobes are people who cannot stand vomiting. This movie has a entire scene that is predicated around vomiting
and then shit.
And I just couldn't laugh
You're
harder.
not telling me I want to. You made it funny.
I'm not
so it's comedic. You think would say
it wants to be. I was my friend Jeff that I often talk about, that he and I talk in depth about, filmmaking and what works, what doesn't. You can shift the tone in a movie. There's no doubt you can definitely do that. There have been films that have been one thing and by the end of it, something very different. This film can't figure out where it wants to go with its tone, in my opinion. It's here, it's there, it's here, it's there.
The thing I was saying in defense of that is you have to remember, for most people, obviously there are some people that this does not stand for. Most people, your life is not one thing. Your life is not a comedy. Your life is not a drama. Your life is not a romance. Your life is a comedy with romance and drama and tragedy and terror and horror and comedy again and all that stuff. So I don't have a problem with a movie shifting tones, because life shifts tones. Your life is,
but
unless you are
shift
dying of cancer, you are not just a tragedy for your entire life.
No, but usually when you make a film, your tone is going to remain consistent. You can have levels of it that it touches and does this. This film literally goes whoop, 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 and it pops everywhere. But it's funny that you mentioned the vomiting stuff, because I did think of you. I know how you react to those kind of things, and I wasn't surprised that you found it funny.
Yeah, because I was listening to something and they were talking about Stand By Me recently, and they've got a whole scene in there where the whole thing is about a kid telling his story about vomiting, and you've got a whole scene of people vomiting, and do people look at Stand By Me and go, "Oh man, except for that vomit scene"? No, that's just part of the movie.
Do you know, I only saw that once, and I was so stoned out of my mind, I barely remember that movie. I remember liking it, but I was like, But Triangle of Sadness, I have a real problem with it being nominated for director when you've got so many, and I don't want to get into the debate of you should nominate someone because they're a woman, but you had female directorial achievements this year that's like, why did they pick him? It's not that well directed. It's really not. I mean, it's a weird film to put in with these other films.
Again, it's one. I think we talked about it last time, and I'm going to pull up now. Make Everything 5 years ago. It was what brought it up to me is Academy. I've got to untape my fingers so I can type faster. So there was a Cinema Sins about Rocky that came out now. So it was 20 minutes talking about Rocky. And then I was like, Rocky was Best Picture winner, right?
Yeah.
That year. And so I was trying to look up what the other nominees from that year was. And I'm just going off the top of my head. I know one of them was All the President's Men. So in hindsight, would you say All the President's Men or Rocky is a better movie and
All the President's Men?
There you go. So,
but Rocky's definitely a crowd pleaser.
Yeah. So, the movie should be, the award should be given in hindsight of what they've actually done instead of, hey, what's going on right this second? Hey.
Yeah.
I mean, okay. So if you go, I've said this before, the AFI, the American Film Institute, the most prestigious film academy in America, sends out a list every year of achievements in film. They do not, that is the award in itself. And those films get a plaque. The filmmakers get a plaque from them. So this year's list, Avatar: The Way of Water, and if you actually read it, they'll actually get down to that it plunges the audience into a deep level of imagination. Probably can't deny that, right? Mm-hmm. Elvis, talking about the tapestry it weaves to tell a tragic story of a person that got fame and what all happened. Everything, Everywhere, All at Once. The Fablemans. Nope. She Said, Tar, Top Gun Maverick, The Woman King, Women Talking. These... How can it be so far apart unless you're going to look at that the Academy, number one, tries to be, it's basically a big commercial to get people to watch movies, and then they try to find a film that's somehow unique. That's the only way I think you can put that into that list, because it doesn't belong in the AFI's discussion.
Here's the other one. Network was up against Rocky as well.
Network's definitely a better
All the
film.
President's Men and Rocky, and also Bound for Glory and Taxi Driver as well. And
That's
Rocky wins. So, again, hindsight, Taxi Driver, All the President's Men, Network, and Rocky wins.
But you can also then make the argument that when you vote like that, the votes get split. When people pick Taxi Driver, and it's a very hard fucking film, especially for 1975, 76.
Yeah,
That's
if
a
you're
good
splitting your
point,
vote,
too.
easy.
Yeah. They split apart, and then Rocky wins. And Rocky is a great
I'm not saying
raw
it's
movie.
not a good movie. I'm saying, comparatively speaking, it's
You
a
go
best
watch
picture.
Have you seen Network recently?
Oh, yeah.
It's like scaringly prescient to what today is.
Yes.
It's like you watch
you
it.
want
It's
to be
like
mad as hell and scream out the window.
And
God
Now you
damn
gotta
it.
watch it.
you basically see how the media manipulation creates that anger that we're living in today. And it's a movie that I think is probably more powerful today than it ever was back then. Mm-hmm. But back to this with Triangle of Sadness. It's why I don't like the Academy Awards. It's just a silly little group of films. It helps me watch a group of films that I might have missed, and I go, oh, I want to watch it. That was the first one I've watched in a long time that I was like, well, that was a waste of my 2 hours.
Have you watched Tar?
Yes.
It's a little pretentious.
I think it is too. I think there's a lot of stuff about it that's very interesting, but it was a bit much.
It was.
I didn't like it as much as other people did.
It felt like it was Kate Blanchett walking to every scene, trying to own every scene, like
Yeah.
the dialogue and everything. It just, I don't know. I think we got like 3/4 of the way through it. I'm like, meh.
You're tired of it?
Yeah, Tard.
The Fablemans is probably, I think, the sweetest film, and I agree with
Fables. Oh yeah,
Fables. It was it Paul Thomas Anderson that said it might be the best film about what it means to make movies, and I think that's very true. It's, you look at how this man's life was this series of things. Have you seen it?
No, but I know what it's about, and I was going to tell you something I saw on Stephen Colbert, I think, if you hadn't seen it.
I have watched that.
That when he was like, I thought I processed all this stuff about my parents and all that stuff, and then they show up on there. It's like, you don't have to take care of me.
Well, there's a sequence in the middle, and I took the girls to see it, and basically he says this is true to life, that he saw his mother falling in love with another man through his lens. He would take family films and shoot them, and as he cut together one trip, he saw her falling into his arms and the way they looked at each other. Mother eventually leaves his father and marries that family friend. That sequence in the film is probably 5 minutes without a spoken word, and I walked out of there, I said, you can fucking can the rest of the movie. That is a master class. And everything we talk about, show me, don't tell me, 5 minutes, there's not a line of dialogue spoken, and you understand everything about those characters. And for that reason, I'm like, that's an achievement in film.
Real quick side thing. You know how in that Stephen Colbert thing where they were talking about Steven Spielberg and John Williams have never had an argument or anything?
Yeah.
Somebody on Reddit said, yeah, of course, because here's how the conversation goes. Steven Spielberg shows up and says, John Williams, I have this fucking kick-ass movie. Why don't you watch it? And he goes, all right, I'll watch it. And he goes, all right, I have this fucking kick-ass soundtrack. What do you think? And Steven Spielberg goes, you made my fucking movie 1,000 times greater. Thank you. And they shake hands and go away, make millions of dollars.
Well, and that's the truth, though. You got two people like that understand their craft beyond anything. I was listening to, there's a great podcast that Dolby Atmos does where they actually bring in the sound mixers, the cinematographers of films, and one of them was about the Batman, and Michael Giancaro,
how you say it, yeah.
Who composed it, wrote the Batman, the main Batman theme before they ever shot a frame. Can you imagine if you're the director and he goes, by the way,
Here's your soundtrack.
and he can then take it to the actor who can then
say, here's your soundtrack. Here's how you're gonna sound when you're on screen.
And then you evoke that. That's fucking collaboration right there. Mm-hmm. Okay, let's put all the Academy Awards talk aside because we can't go down that. So tell me some comic stuff or what you're watching, what's going on.
So there is a movie on Netflix that I don't think I have laughed harder at the end without telling you anything about it. But it's called The Strays.
Okay.
And the only thing you have to know is a woman is miserable in some sort of relationship and decides to leave it, and then you catch up with her 10 years later.
Okay. It's funny.
No.
Oh.
The ending of it made me laugh so hard. That's all I'm going to tell you.
Okay.
And that is not that it was purposely meant to make
I don't know. I don't know that or not.
Okay.
I cannot tell you. You will have to watch it, and then you will see the end of it, and you will either go, okay, or you will burst out in a laughter like I did.
Dear
Okay.
Lord, you said Strays. You made me think of Halle Berry's Catwoman.
I've never seen that.
Oh, don't.
Oh, don't.
Is it really as bad?
It is as bad as you think it
it's
is.
really bad. It'll actually be really funny with fart noises. That movie would work as with no, seriously.
Jumps around and when she's playing basketball. And,
Can that be our go-to now? Is that if a movie's bad, would it be better with fart noises?
It can be. Now it's a gig on RuPaul's Drag Race. They did it last season for one of their productions. They did what's it called? Something Wins. I don't know. But they had all these drag queens basically perform. Daytona Wins, and they had these drag queens performing like this big kind of daytime television talk show where they're all these grand dames. They're going into this house, stuff like that. They didn't tell them that they were going to actually ADR in fart sounds for their video.
Nice.
So when they play the video back in front of the judges, in front of the contestants, they actually have fart noises after they deliver all the lines. It's gold, particularly because nobody knew it was going to happen.
That is one thing. So Shelley would never watch a movie with vomiting to bring us back to that.
Yeah.
And if there were fart noises throughout it, she's like, there's never been a funny fart moment in film, according to my wife. And I'm like, how can you say? I even went back and I said, fine, you know what? Go watch 10. Mm-hmm. And there's that moment when Dudley Moore is tracking her down and he goes to, I think it's the priest's house and trying to find out. And that old woman brings tea and she just goes, that's pretty fucking funny. It is pretty funny. But my wife does not think farts are funny at all. And Abigail and I will sit behind her and just like.
Louis C.K. said, you don't have to be smart to laugh at a fart joke, but you have to be stupid not to.
No, I don't tell my wife that. Okay, Louis C.K., he made his own film now and it's out. And somebody told me they watched it and it was pretty good. Does he ever get forgiven? Does he have to do some restitution to work that out?
What did he do?
He exposed himself and whacked off in front
of a female comedian.
Oh yeah. Okay. It wasn't like one of like a few that did that all at once.
Yeah, it just like it all came out there.
There's like a couple of them did it all at the same time.
If you're self-pleasuring, outside of your spouse, is there anybody that you really want to whip it out and do that in front of? That's not something that I ever think. Hey, let me do this.
There are people that get off on that. Yeah. I'm sure it's the power of the fact that they can't control the fact.
Maybe that is. Maybe it is a power. It just has never crossed my mind as something I want to do.
Yeah.
Huh.
The Strays.
Anything else?
No.
Well, it's going to be a short in between today because we're only at about 18 and a half minutes.
Wow.
But you have general management for the gym,
CrossFit gym, yeah.
Yeah, that you've got to get to.
I have 2 jobs because I'm stupid.
No,
I have a little bit of time to get there. I'm not like in a rush, but
trying to make sure you get out of here on time.
Let's see here.
I guess we can call it on that. I mean, there's no Star Wars Galaxy Heroes talk.
I said, write me a teaser for the podcast Minute of the Apes in the style of Red Letter Media.
Okay.
All right. It said, in a world where talking apes have taken over, one podcast dares to go where no human has gone before, or should go, for that matter.
True.
Join us for the Minute of the Apes, where we analyze, scrutinize, and probably overanalyze every single minute of the classic sci-fi film franchise. It's Planet of the Apes meets film school rejects with a healthy dose of absurdity and cynicism thrown in. So grab your favorite banana daiquiri and join us for a wild ride through the monkey business that is Planet of the Apes franchise.
Man,
this stuff is crazy. Like, seriously.
But also, why have we never considered banana daiquiris?
Daiquiri
need to
for
be
a
what we're
drink.
drinking when we're
Well,
celebrating.
we'll do that at the end of the final podcast. We'll have banana daiquiris for the last episode of this one.
Last thing I'm going to throw in, and we'll call this wraps. Sean brought this up. They have wrapped the fourth.
Oh, yeah.
Of the new films, the one that
The new franchise.
No, who is it that's directing it?
I don't know
Is
who's
it Wes Ball? Maybe. They wrapped it. William H Macy's in it. Sean asked, "Are we going to wait until we've seen the new films to go see it?" And I said, "Absolutely not. I'm going to see it in the theater."
You guys should go see it.
Yeah.
I'm not.
You've
gonna see it.
not.
I'm not going to.
So you're going to
you will
wait
wait.
until you've
I will
seen
wait.
the third
Correct.
film.
And I'm not reading the Marvel comic books, which is on our checklist this week.
So my question
Pre-order
for
this week.
So my question for you is: we get done with the third movie. Are you going to? We done our minutes. Are you going to watch the fourth movie, or are you going to watch it minute by minute?
I think the minute by minute thing is
You're
what
gonna
I should
say-
do.
you're gonna stay
I must
minute
take
by
a-
minute.
I must-
All
I
right.
must stay
I
the
will
minute
be
time.
the one that watches everything always.
I'm gonna
all the way
watch
through.
it.
I think there's something joyful in not knowing
Not knowing what's
going
gonna
on,
happen.
being able to
Okay.
speculate on things, and you
Real-
guys go.
Real quick at the comic book, I saw what was coming. Is it covering the new
It's
era?
the new
Yeah,
stuff.
yeah, We talked about it last
So
time.
he can't
we?
read them
I
either.
forget,
Yeah,
I
Yeah,
forget.
I
he
can't
can't read
the
them
new, I can't read
either.
the new comic either.
All right. Who is it? Marvel.
Marvel.
Okay.
At some point after the third movie, we're also gonna have to play the game together. I've
Well,
got
we
it
got
on
to
my-
do that like a special episode.
Yeah, we're gonna have to do a special episode and play the game as a team. And I can't remember. I think it's only like 2 or 3 hours, so we might just like record a whole thing and just have it go up as one thing.
Only if we're drinking banana daiquiris.
Hey, let's do it.
Have you ever had a banana daiquiri?
I have.
Sounds kind of like a pina
I
colada.
have had a banana daiquiri. Yes.
Are they as gross as they sound?
You don't like bananas.
I don't
That's
like-
the problem.
I
Yeah,
hate
that,
bananas.
then you're not gonna like the
You're not
banana
gonna like it
daiquiri.
because it tastes like bananas.
So here's your the primary cover is right here. Here is a alternate cover right there, and then we go into
Oh, the
more alternate
Holy
covers.
shit,
There's a
why?
blank one. This one is really cool.
I like that
Colorado
one a lot. It
style.
has the Statue of Liberty. It looks like on the
And
side.
then there's some more. Those are all the covers.
How many fucking
Well,
covers?
as
This
many
is
as they
every
can.
single week. They do Marvel
Yeah.
and DC are doing
Multiple
between
covers.
2 to 3 to 4 different covers, and some of them are just gorgeous. Like
Yeah.
why couldn't they just make them the main cover? But yeah,
I like the Statue of Liberty. I like the one.
well, the
Ape
Statue of
sitting
Liberty's
there.
incentive, I think it's like what is it, 150?
Yeah.
Yeah, see how priced that is.
And now Marvel has started a
Jesus.
20th century line.
Well, I
So-
like the one where it almost looks like Hamlet, where an ape was holding something. I think that was, if you scroll down, I'm pretty sure it was on the left hand side.
Yeah.
Very Hamlet looking esque. I like that
holding
one.
holding a
Space helmet.
space helmet. Yeah.
So yeah, Marvel has started a 20th century line now. So they've got Planet of the Apes, they've got Aliens, and they've got Predator.
Yeah.
So they've got
Interesting.
3 lines that they can now cover, which I'm sure at some point they're going to make a Aliens, Predator, Planet of the Apes crossover.
So this new comic is probably about 3 weeks out.
Okay.
Yep.
I don't know if I'll
Maybe
read that.
4.
We'll see. All right. I think that's about it. Richard, please get yourself out of here and get to your meeting.
I'm gonna
work
go do
out.
some CrossFit stuff.
Yeah.
All right. We
Business.
will be back next week with hopefully better minutes. I'm down deep inside. It's got to get better. It's got to get
Unless
better.
unless it's a credits, it's not going to get better.
Okay, fair. Everyone have a great weekend. We'll talk to you next week.
Bye.
Bye, everybody.